When you're in the kitchen, you got to feel the heat.
Right along live.
Today, guys, I want to talk about the difference that I see between a vlogger and a journalist, right? A vlogger and a journalist, and the role and the importance both a vlogger and a journalist play in this whole scope of media. Now, a lot of people believe, for some reason, as long as you have a media platform or you have a TV show or radio show, or you might even host a music program on the radio, first people think, oh, you're a journalist. Now, I believe there are some journalistic integrity. People are trained to be journalists. People spend years and understand the whole journalistic art, right? I will be the first to tell you, and I will continue to say this, I am not a journalist. I am not a journalist. I am a vlogger. Now, let me tell you the main difference as I see it, right? Now, first of all, there are journalistic integrities. There are things that you should adhere to as a journalist. As a journalist, you basically give the story, this side of the story, this side of the story, and in no way you impart or inject your personal opinion. Your personal opinion is null and void when you're a journalist. It's not about what you think or how you feel or how you feel this should happen or no. You tell a story. Point blank, period, that's it. You report the story, done. A vlogger, on the other hand, which I am, right? I am very opinionated. Been that way from day one. I would always sit here and tell you about how I feel about a certain topic. I may review a certain product. I may tell you why I like this or why I don't like this. And I still have my integrity to uphold. My review should be truthful. Like, for instance, I bought a smartphone. Say, well, I don't like the smartphone because it's too big or it's too small or it's not clear enough. I give you my opinion. A journalist ain't supposed to do that. Between that gray area is where vloggers fall in. That gray area where journalists can't touch. Vloggers inject their personal opinion. But it seems, and you tell me if you see it too, people who claim to be journalists and claim to have journalistic integrity and claim to have been trained to be journalists, you will see that they come in and they're injecting all their opinions on things as you. That is not what you're supposed to do. So essentially, you disqualify yourself from being a journalist. You are a vlogger. Now, if you're a vlogger, that's perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. For one, it's a billion-dollar industry. And people gravitate to people's opinion, right? People's opinion or my opinion is always subject to challenge because I may have an opinion, you may have a different opinion. So you might debate my opinion or you may not like my opinion. You may criticize my opinion. It is fine to be criticized because that is your opinion. And everybody on the face of the earth don't share the same opinion on everything. So hence the reason why a vlogger is very open to criticism and you have to be prepared for it. A journalist, however, not supposed to inject and try to bring on their personal views or their personal bias. Now, a vlogger, on the other hand, although that vlogger has his integrity to be factual, many vloggers are biased. For one thing, like, for instance, I may like iPhone over Samsung. That is a bias. And I would tell you, I don't like Samsung or I don't like iPhone because it is this or it is that or it is whatever. I am biased to iPhone. And people might just follow me because of my opinion on iPhone. Some people may never follow me because of my opinion on iPhone or Samsung. But that is fine because the world as it exists, there are enough place, the space is big enough for everyone's opinion. People follow people based on if they click with you, if they share your opinion, or sometimes they disagree with your opinion, and that is fine as well. But a journalist not supposed to try to be a vlogger. A journalist have to stay in their lane. So a lot of people who talk about their journalists and their journalistic integrity, but they come and they give you their opinion. They come and they give you a whole set of their opinion. So they essentially vlogging. They essentially doing what I do, right? Because I never claim to be a journalist. They essentially vlogging. So if you're a vlogger, you're a vlogger. That's fine. And if you look around, take a little minute and look around. And look at some of the reporters, right? And even on international networks like CNN. Anderson Cooper, to me, is a vlogger. Most of the times he read the news, but then he inject his whole personal opinion into a story and he get mushy. CNN. A lot of the anchors on CNN, they're vloggers essentially. MSNBC, well, don't talk about them. They are vloggers, opinionated people. They like this one, they don't like this one, and you could see it. You could see the bias. Fox, same thing. You could see the bias. So there are very few outlets. And in fact, on the media platforms, international media platforms, you could count on one hand how many journalists there actually are out there. I'm poor. She impressed me as a real journalist. She very rarely insert her personal opinion on a story, and I believe she do a great job. You know, I give her real kudos. But when you look around, you don't see much of them, right? But they still want to proclaim that they are journalists and the integrity of journalists when essentially they are vloggers, right? That's my opinion on it. Vloggers, opinionated people, might review stuff, would review stuff, tell you what they think, tell you they might be biased for one thing over the next. That is perfectly fine. A journalist, tell me the story, tell me this side of the story, tell me this side of the story. I don't want to hear nothing what you think about it. Just done with that, keep it moving, and that's it. Let the vloggers do their opinionated stuff. So in other words, a vlogger could very easily play the role of a journalist. A vlogger could put out stories that is very impartial and let the audience judge left or right. Let the audience make up their mind about whatever. However, a journalist should not play the role of a vlogger. That's why most vloggers, because they're so damn opinionated, like myself, get criticized. And that's fine. When you're in the kitchen, you got to feel the heat. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys about the difference that I see from a journalist and a vlogger.